Hello and welcome back to my playthrough of Pokémon Alpha Sapphire. In the last episode, we tracked down Team Aqua in Slateport City and kind of just missed them again because they took Captain Stern's submarine and they took it over to their hideout in Lily Cove, which we're going to hopefully find today. But first we're going to do a little bit more exploring of Lily Cove City. Oh yeah, by the way, let's check out. I rearranged my team a little bit. I realized that Normal and Nitro were getting a little behind in levels. Actually, GS Ball is a little behind in levels too, but right now I'm focusing on raising up Tonka. I have Ufu here because he's my starter, just because I need Mirror B to stay on because he has Surf, and I need Cotton Eye Joe because he has Fly, just in case, because I think there's going to be some more flying involved in the near future. And there's another Team Aqua grunt. Alright, there's the Move Deleter's house. I guess we don't need to talk to him. Oh, don't go near the cave? Okay, and just take your word for it just because you said so? Okay, that's fine. Oh, it's a Meditite. Hi, Meditite. Okay. Let's see. The same way suit me perfectly. A Crispy's. Okay, I was trying to decipher that sentence there. Aspare berry. Because you're a trainer. That's why a berry suits me. Okay, we can hop down these. We can go back up. Oh, look at this guy. We're getting a little bit, getting some close-quartered conversation here. I don't know, though, guys. The way you're, like, leaning in like that, you're having a tender moment here. Mwahahaha. Yes, what tender moment does not have a mwahahaha as part of it? Alright, more loot into your secret hideout. You're just talking to yourself? Well, I mean, to be fair, I guess you guys do pretty much look like the same person. Anyway, let's keep going. What house is this? Team Aqua, lovers of nature, blah 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 blah. I want to go inside this building and see what it has in store for us. Zzz, 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 zzz. I guess that's not actually the sound of sleeping, I guess. Zzz, zzz, zzz. But apparently Z's are the sounds. I guess I'm trying to think why Z is the sound of sleeping. I guess because, you know, they call sleeping, like, one saying for it is sawing logs. Oh, a poke flute for the base. Alright. So like sleeping, they call it sawing logs, and I guess because when you're snoring, it kind of makes a zzz sound. I don't know. 101 skitty? 101 skitty at your parents' house? That's a lot of skitty. It's like 101 Dalmatians, but with skitty! Okay, anyway, let's use the item finder here. I still call it item finder, even though technically it's dowsing machine now. Because back in my day when we played Pokemon, we had the item finder, and it didn't really work at all. It just kind of told you if the item was anywhere on the screen at that point in time, but you still had to check every square nearby. It didn't even give you a sense of direction. It was just like, well, there's a hidden item here somewhere. Go find it. And we were happy, darn it. Okay, there's my old person impression for the day. Unless I have more old people to narrate. Well, speaking of being difficult to use, sometimes the dowsing machine is really easy, makes it really easy to find items, but sometimes because of the way it kind of hints you in the right direction. Ooh, there's an item there, I better go get it. Sometimes you can get a little lost, like trying to keep track of how it's changing color. It's a little bit confusing. Anyway, I'll do another old person voice. Even as we grow old and wrinkled, the sea remains forever young with the vivid brilliance of life. Sorry, I kind of slurred my words there because my teeth fell out. Whoa, whoa. How about you, lady? It was 60 years ago that my husband proposed to me here. The sea remains as beautiful as ever. Oh. Moo foo 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 foo. Oh, great. Alright, so let's see. Well, it finally happened. It took a few episodes, but it finally happened again. Sometimes when my 3DS moves slightly, well, see, the way the 3DS capture works is that it shows up on my screen, like what I'm playing, and it shows pretty much in real time. There's almost no lag. But sometimes if it moves a little bit, I guess the wiring is a tiny bit loose, the connection, so the image on the computer ends up freezing. It's still recording the footage and the audio and everything just fine, but the negative is that I can't simply look at the computer screen and see what I'm doing, so I have to kind of look downward like this. It's not going to be a big deal. Oh, I forgot to mention at the beginning of this episode, I also mentioned it in the previous episode, but the previous episode and this episode I'm recording on the same evening because I'm going to be out of town this weekend, and so I will not have the opportunity to record another episode. Oh, the Whalmer are blocking the way. How do I do that? I forget. Oh no, I don't. I guess I just have to go this way. Anyway, as I was saying, I'm going to be out of town this weekend, and I'll be coming back on Monday. It might be late Monday, though, so I won't probably have time to get an episode out. So I'm recording it tonight, and, you know, right after recording the previous episode, and, so it's going to be a little bit of a shorter episode, too, because it's kind of late now, and I need to go do some packing and stuff. So yeah, this episode might be a little short. We'll see. How long have I been recording? Like 7-ish minutes already. So yeah, we'll see how long this episode is. I'm probably thinking in the realm of 20-25 minutes, but we'll see. So let's get a nice little shot of this aqua hideout here. Pretty cool and cinematic. Alright, oh, we got these warp pads to deal with. Alright, this is gonna be fun with me constantly looking down, because I can't hunch over my 3DS because, you know, I don't want it to look bad on the webcam. I kind of have to keep my head a little upright, but I still have to look down, so it's kind of not a great angle to see things from, but I'm gonna have to deal with this, going through this whole maze of warp tiles. Well, that's gonna be fun. I suppose if I had to, I could just restart the recording, but I've already come so far. Not so far, but not that I would need to restart the recording, though. I could just, like, pause the recording and restart the capture, but that's kind of time-consuming, and I'd rather just keep going the way it is. I've had to... You may have been able to notice, but it's very subtle, so you probably haven't, that, it has happened to me in the past where I've had the recording freeze, so I've had to switch, like... Basically because there's two ways that I capture footage. I capture the footage through my capture software for the 3DS, and then I also capture what's playing on screen with Camtasia. For several reasons, because my 3DS capture software does not allow me to record microphone audio, and also because now that I'm using webcam, Camtasia lets me record with webcam. So it's to my advantage to record. It's easier to use Camtasia instead of just the built-in recording for my 3DS capture software. However, hold on, let me make sure I'm sending out someone good here. Alright, let's try it. Okay, however, sometimes this freezing thing happens, so from what Camtasia's recording, it just gets this frozen screenshot. But I still keep the default recording going of my 3DS capture software. And the reason I do this is, and the reason I keep the Camtasia recording going is so I can capture all of the microphone audio like normal. So I keep everything going like normal, and then at the point at which the video cuts out, I cut that and go to the 3DS recording software footage, if that makes any sense at all. So basically, at all points in time, you're always hearing the audio and seeing the webcam that's recorded through Camtasia. But depending on whether or not I've had that little issue where the screen froze up, you may or may not be seeing a screen capture from Camtasia, or the actual directly recorded footage of my game. Little bit of behind-the-scenes info there. You probably didn't need to know, but just to explain, just to make it a little easier to... Now that I'm on webcam, I kind of have to explain myself a little bit. So I figured I need to offer an explanation for why all of a sudden I'm constantly looking down instead of just slightly below camera at my computer screen. I'm looking totally down at my 3DS, which I apologize for. It's probably not as good of an angle, but we're making lemons. We're making lemonade out of lemons. I don't know why I always say that. Like the saying, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. So you can also say you're making lemonade out of lemons to kind of refer to that saying. But for some reason I tend to say it backwards. I tend to say making lemons out of lemonade. I don't know why. Probably because in the original saying, it's when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. So I'm thinking of lemons and lemonade in that order. Oh, can I heal Pokemon? Okay, cool. So that was fast. We already have accessed we already found the healing place. So we have to remember our way back here. Oh, and we've got items and everything. Full restore. That'll come in handy. How about you? Blah, blah, blah. That's nice and all, but I want to continue. Continue with our quest. We will see. Let's see if Tonka can evolve in this episode. It might be tricky because we'll probably be up against a good amount of water types, so I'll have to switch him out pretty often. But we'll try. Well, at least lead with him so he'll keep getting experience. Ooh, I can buy more vending machine stuff. Excuse me while I buy 3 soda pops real quick. I mean, what can I say? They don't heal an awful lot at this stage in the game, but they're pretty cost-effective still, so... One more. And so also, this grunt doesn't want to battle me, which is unfortunate because I'm just thinking I need all the experience points I can get. Or you're slacking. Actually, you're not slacking. My dad, Norman, has the slacking. Actually, he has 2 slacking and a Vigoroth, right? Anyway, let's fight this Aqua Grunt who's got a Mightyena. That is good for Tonka to fight. Basically, the only thing that Tonka can't fight that these guys might have are Sharpedo or Carvana. Everything else, I think, he can handle pretty fine. Pretty fine. You're gonna embargo me again, just like the last Mightyena. Well, that was in the previous episode. I'll just use strength, 100% accurate. So I'm still a little bit in the overleveled territory here, but I'd rather be a little overleveled for a normal playthrough like this, just so I don't have to... Oops, no, I don't want to switch. Just so I don't have to worry about grinding Pokemon's levels. Maybe I should turn the experience share off, but I'm gonna wait until... what's their names? I've switched them out for so long, I forget now. Until Nermal and Nitro are level 40, and then I'll shut off the experience share. But for now, anyway, we're on a mission. We need to get Tonka to level 42 at all costs. So keeping the experience share on will be helpful for that as well. Alright, before we go that way, let's see what this scientist guy has to say. Meteorites, natural energy, super ancient Pokemon. Here we are conducting experiments to understand how they relate and create a blue orb artificially, but we haven't had much success. It may be too difficult for humans to solve. Well, you have the real deal now, don't you? Why do you need to create a fake blue orb? Okay, how about you? The scientists don't fight in this game. It's like, I remember back in my day, when we went to Silphco, half of the scientists were double agents and they were working for Team Rocket, and you fought the scientists. In this episode, in this generation, all the scientists are just NPCs that don't battle you. They're not your enemies. They don't team up with the bad guys. They don't even do anything except for tell you things. And you need to save them. And I'm just talking... It's a Welmer doll. Hi, Wilmer doll. Back in my day, we didn't have Wilmer. We had... What did we have? We had Lapras. Darn it. We surfed on Lapras and we were happy. Okay. Gen 1-er. That's what I feel, though. I've played Pokemon since the first generation. I'm starting to feel so old now. There are kids here. Kids born. Kids born, like, into 3rd, 4th, 5th generation Pokemon. Don't know any of don't know any of the references to Generation 1. Not that I'm not like the, to use the sort of derogatory term, Gen 1-er. Ooh, Dark Pulse. I mean, Gen 1-er is kind of, has a negative connotation to say somebody who refuses to acknowledge that there are other bro special. Bro! Anyway. Ooh, punching bag. Anyway. Yeah, so even though... So, like, I'm not, like, a Gen 1-er in that sense, like, people who only accept the first generation of Pokemon as a legitimate generation of Pokemon. I mean, obviously I'm not that, otherwise I wouldn't be playing games with Generation 5 and Generation 6 Pokemon in it, or Generation 3 even. I don't even have to go all the way to Generation 5 and 6. Obviously I'm playing a remake of a Generation 3 game, so I'm obviously fine with new Pokemon. But that being said, I still understand being with Pokemon from the beginning. Like, there's certain experiences only people who grew up with the first generation of Pokemon can fully appreciate. Although, if I were to pick my favorite... I mean, honestly, every new Pokemon game that comes out in the main series is kind of my new favorite because of updated features, updated sort of technology, updated Pokemon, like, you know, changing the moves, changing the mechanics. In general, I tend to like whatever the latest generation of games are the most. I have a glare here, I'm trying to see who I'm sending out. Alright, obviously I tend to like, so from a technical standpoint, I tend to like the latest games the most. Just, again, graphics, mechanics, but I would say that just thinking about what generation of Pokemon games I enjoyed the most when they first came out, I would say that it was Gold, Silver, and Crystal. Because that was sort of at the point, it was just before sort of the backlash from Pokemania, I guess you would say. It was kind of, in the US, it seemed like when Pokemon was sort of at its peak of popularity. Like, prior... Like, because there was kind of this period of time, at least for me growing up, I was like about 8 or so when the first Pokemon games came out, and it actually took me about a year to get into Pokemon, but, so I was like 9, but even so it was still when the first generation of Pokemon games were in their prime, and so, I was getting into it, so a lot of people around my age were getting into it, and then around the second generation, we all were getting crazy about it, and then right toward the end of second generation games, some people started getting really tired of Pokemon games, I guess, and everybody started getting too old for Pokemon, and it was really, like, annoying. So that was around, so, like, to me, the second generation was sort of like a golden age for my age group of Pokemon fans. Now, of course, my age group of Pokemon fans, we've kind of had, like, a resurgence. Like, now that everybody's in college or, like, just out of college, I notice when people get into college, they start to find like-minded people that, and you're like, oh, you still like Pokemon too? Yeah! Alright, you know what? I'm just gonna use a full restore because this confusion is annoying. So yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever seen, I think it was drawn by, oh, what's the artist's name? Awkward Zombie? That series of comics. And it shows a bunch of little kids playing Pokemon games, and it says elementary school, and everybody's like, Pokemon! And then it shows high school, and it's just this one person off in a corner playing Pokemon, and there's like someone off to the side says, are you seriously playing Pokemon? And then it skips over to college. And it's like all these college-age kids, and they're just like, got goofy looks on their faces, and they're all like, Pokemon! And they're playing Pokemon. That is a pretty accurate representation of my life as a player of Pokemon. Like, at first in elementary school, everybody was into it. When you started getting into middle school and high school, people didn't want to admit they were into it anymore. And then in college, you had people, whether they were just strictly Gen 1ers or whether they actually stayed with Pokemon and followed it all the way through, either way, you would have so many people just admitting and embracing their love of Pokemon. So, yeah, that's where I've sort of come from. But anyway, going back to what I was saying before about Generation 2, that was my favorite, like, if I were to think about what game series, what generation of Pokemon games I enjoyed the most at the time, I would say it was Generation 2 with Gold and Silver and Crystal. Because I was fully into it, but, I mean, I guess really my biggest reason for liking it so much is I liked, like, Generations 1 and 2, like, for those of you who may know your Pokemon video game trivia, were kind of conceived, like, the Pokemon that make up the Generation 1 and 2 Pokedex, many of them were created at the same time. There were about roughly 190 Pokemon that were conceived for the original Pokemon games. And I wish Strength would stop missing! How many times did this Grimer minimize? I don't think it was that many times, but jeez. At least he can't do much to me. Anyway, how many turns are we gonna do the same thing? Oh my gosh, stop! Really? We're gonna start struggling eventually, aren't we? Good thing all he seems to have is poison attacks. Hit! Darn it! You, like, stopped me in mid-discussion. Oh my gosh. And there's nothing I can do because this Grimer... There we go. Anyway, Generations 1 and 2. Well, they were kind of... The Pokemon that make up those generations, many of them were conceived at the same time as each other. So you sort of get this feeling like they kind of belong to the same group. And so when you hear some of the quote-unquote Gen 1ers talking about how, like, Generation 3 onward saying, oh, they don't even look like Pokemon. In one sense, they have a point. They don't look like Pokemon as you've been used to knowing them, because in Generations 1 and 2, well, even within Generations 1 and 2, the focus on design was sort of shifted a little bit, like the idea for conceiving, like, they kind of had different ideas, because a lot of Generation 2 Pokemon, the ones that were created specifically for Generation 2, I think in particular, they were based on more of an idea of, like, tradition and purity, which is why you notice that all the Generation 2 starters retain their single types throughout their entire evolution line, as opposed to the previous generation. You would have Bulbasaur being grass poison the entire time, and then you'd have Charmander becoming fire flying as Charizard. But all the Johto starters were maintain their pure types the entire time. So it was a little bit different from Generation 1, because Generation 1, to me, sort of had that, like, genetic experiment thing going on. I don't know where I'm supposed to go here, darn it. So where was I going with that? But, Generation 3 was sort of a deliberate departure from the Generation 1 and 2 sort of conceptualization of Pokemon. So there is some truth, I guess. Not truth, but there is a legitimate point to be made from people who say that the Generation 3 and etc., like later generations, don't look like Pokemon. In the sense that they have a completely... They were conceived completely differently, because, again, Generation 3 was sort of... Really, was it that one the whole time? I thought I went there already. But Generation 3 was sort of seen as a departure from, like, a reboot. Oh, got an Electrode here. But yeah, anyway, I'm getting kind of long-winded with this because I keep losing my train of thought, but yeah, I would say, the reason I enjoyed, in summary, the reason I enjoyed Generation 2 Pokemon games the most was there was that sense of Generation 2 as that sequel to Generation 1, pretty literally, because Gold and Silver was a direct sequel to Red and Blue. Like you're in the same, like the two regions, Johto and Kanto, are connected. You go back to Kanto and you meet some of the same characters that you know, knew from Red and Blue, and you even got to fight your own, like, well, a representation of your old player character from Red and Blue. It would be cool now with of course you're gonna self-destruct. It would be cool now that they have things like Pokemon Link, how they were able to connect Black and White, like your character's information, some of it from Black and White over to Black 2 and White 2. It would be cool if they could sort of reboot, even though they've already rebooted Fire Red and Leaf Green, Heart Gold, Soul Silver. It would be kind of cool to do something where you could take your character from Red or Blue and transfer, like use the memory link or whatever, Pokemon Link, to put that information into Gold and Silver, and so when you fight Red at the end, it's actually whatever your player character was with whatever their team is that you register. That would be pretty cool. Norma wants to learn Yawn. Nah, you don't need to. Oh, this episode is going a little long now, actually. I guess we'll try to finish up here. I guess once we're done in this room. Let's see. But yeah, did I finish my point on that? I mean, my point was just that I enjoyed Gen 2 a lot because I was crazy about Gen 1, and Gen 2 just sort of continued that. I don't know, I liked it. It was sort of a neat little package. And I would say, as far as remakes go, like, I loved Fire Red and Leaf Green, I'm loving Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, but I must say, the remakes I think I got most excited about, and I think the remakes I enjoyed playing the most were, in fact, Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Just like Gold, Silver, and Crystal were the Pokemon games I enjoyed the most originally. Anyway, let's focus on my long-winded speech here as sort of distracted from the point. I don't know, it looks like Tonka's at level 41. It looks like he will not be able to evolve in this episode. We're kind of running out of time. I need to finish up as soon as possible because I'm just running out of time for tonight. I have to go back to packing. Oh, but we found a Master Ball. Well, that's cool. I wish we could heal right here. I don't know if I want to go all the way back to where we have to heal. I don't know how far that is. I guess let's do that real quick, though. Let's try to head back up. Here? If I can remember. I got lost so many times on this thing. I can't believe I didn't check that one to the bottom left. I could have sworn I did. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Where am I going? I thought I went this... Oh, here we go. I kind of lost myself for a second. Anyway. Let's go. Did I check here already? Did I check? Did I? I'm losing track of where I've been. Yeah, I was there. I'm pretty sure. Alright, so let's backtrack a little bit to where we can heal. And then I guess we'll finish off the episode. I'm gonna just set it up so that I know where to go. Where to go next, so that when I pick up this game again next week, I won't have forgotten where I am. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed my long-winded discussion about different Pokemon generations. Long story short, I'm probably always going to keep on loving Pokemon. Not that the series has been perfect. I know that, you know, they have to rehash sort of the same formula and they make a lot of remakes and yada yada yada, but you know what? I loved Pokemon the first time, I loved it this time, I'm gonna love it every time. It's gonna always be good. For me, anyway. You know, if you get tired of the monotony, then, you know, that's fine. That's your opinion. But, and, you know, to each their own. I mean, if it doesn't do anything for you anymore, that's fine. As for me, though, I'm gonna keep on playing Pokemon, and we're going to keep on playing Pokemon in the next episode, of course, because this is a Pokemon series. So if you liked this video and you liked my little speech, and if you liked seeing my face as I do it, as I look down and look at the screen, because, yeah. Anyway, please leave a like. Also, subscribe if you want to stay up to date on when my latest videos come out. Also, if you would like to follow me on social media, you can like my page on Facebook or follow me on Twitter. The links are in the description. And with that, because I can't seem to form coherent sentences anymore, I'm going to finish it off, so thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next episode of my playthrough of Pokemon Alpha Sapphire.